Today I'm going to give you a little homeschool update. It is February. I did plan to do this video last month, but we were sick and life got busy. So here we are, it's February, and I'm going to give you an update on our homeschool. So hey, my name is Adrian, and I'm a homeschool mom of 3. I love to talk all things homeschool, family life, and motherhood. So I'm going to tell you today some of the things that have been working in our homeschool this year, some of the things that maybe aren't working or things that I'm considering. So if that sounds interesting, stick around, give this video a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more of this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe so you can see upcoming videos. So first thing that I'm going to talk about is some family subjects that we have been using that have been working for us. If you have been around here a while, you know that we have been using Under the Home this year. I do have a few videos that I will try to link down below of how we use it, why we're loving it, just some explanation of that. But we are still using Under the Home and loving it. We are using it for poetry, science, art study, and music study. I think that's it. We are still loving it. I have come to the realization, though, that we don't always fit all of these subjects in every single week like it says, and that's okay. Some of the lessons have a lot of things that we want to get to and just don't have the time for. For example, some of our science lessons, 1 week of lessons, I will split into 2. There have been a few lessons that I wanted to add extra books in, extra videos, extra hands-on crafts or worksheets, and so I cannot fit that all into 1 week, and so we split it up into 2. And the checklist person in me initially freaks out because we are not on track like I thought. But it's fine. We love it. We're learning new things. We're constantly progressing through this curriculum and enjoying it together as a family. So that's definitely a win. Another curriculum that we're loving as a family is using the Well-Educated Heart. Now I say curriculum, I do have a few videos on this as well. It's not a curriculum. It is definitely a learning style and philosophy. It is a whole group. It's wonderful. But we are following the history rotation for Well-Educated Heart or Libraries of Hope. So far we have been loving this. It is February, and so we are still working on our January books. We did not do a whole lot of it during January. Like I said, life got busy and we were sick, but we were loving the books that we were using. So I decided that we were just going to do January twice. We were going to continue on, and then we'll jump back in March. And I love that we have the flexibility to do that, and my kids are really loving it. We have been learning about Lafayette, and my boys have been running around pretending to be characters in the American Revolution. They were playing, They were playing Redcoats and Americans, I think, and one of my children was wearing a halo mask from their Halloween costume, and another one had like a sword and some other toy, and they were pretending to be the Redcoats and the Americans and chasing each other, and it was just really sweet to know that they were understanding what was going on and they were adding that to their imaginary play. So we're still loving that. Another curriculum that we're still loving is Gentle and Classical Preschool. We are using this lightly still. We are reading the books a couple times a week if my daughter is interested, and we're talking about the letters, and she's loving it. I didn't know that a child could have a favorite letter, but my child definitely has a favorite letter. She walks around telling me everywhere she sees the letter O, and she gets so excited about it. She does know more than letter O, but apparently that's her favorite. If your child has a favorite letter, let me know. I've never heard of that. Favorite number, favorite color, favorite, I don't know, shape, all sorts of things, but I've never heard anybody have a favorite letter. It just makes me giggle every time she does it. Okay, next, I am going to talk about my 2nd grader and things that are going well with my 2nd grader. So my 2nd grader has finished his Alpha Phonics curriculum, the whole of it. More than halfway through, he already could read very well, and he knew a lot of the lessons towards the end of Alpha Phonics curriculum. I did make him continue it. I just felt that it was really good practice for him to slow down and continue practicing decoding words, sounding them out, and making sure that he remembered some of those rules. So I did make him do the whole of it, and it was very easy for him towards the end, and now he is a pretty fluent reader. He can do pretty well. There are some tricky words and things that trip him up, and we do still practice reading but he finished and he is so excited. He has flown through so many books. After he finishes Alphaphonics curriculum, we went to the library and he read 7 Dragon Masters book in about a week, maybe 2. And then he has also been reading some of the Bear Grylls adventure books. Last summer I had bought a curriculum from the Waldock Way that used those books, and I have the whole series. We only read 1 book last summer, and he has read at least 2 of those, several of the different readers on our shelves. He's picked up the dictionary just to flip through and read words in the dictionary. He's always grabbing nonfiction books off of our shelf. He has become a very avid reader. I feel like I'm gonna have a hard time keeping up with his appetite for books. Okay, another thing that my second grader is, we would call this a win for my second grader, is he loves the Bible. And that makes my heart so happy. I had bought the Read and Learn Bible for my second grader for him to read the Bible, but on his level. Not just his level of reading, but his level of understanding. And I think I underestimated him because he has completely finished the Read and Learn Bible as well. We have a quiet time daily for an hour as a family, and so everybody just goes their separate ways. My toddler takes a nap. My boys have a break from each other because they're around each other 24/7, and so they get to play quietly. They don't have to sleep, they don't have to lay down, but my second grader is required to read a chapter from his Read and Learn Bible and then read something that he chooses. It could be anything he wants. And sometimes he chooses to read more than 1 chapter of his Read and Learn Bible, or he was reading his Read and Learn Bible and then he was taking an actual Bible and reading a chapter of that as well. So he has just been pouring into it and he has finished it. With his reading of the Bible, he's also required to do a Bible journal. This is just a simple sketchbook that I have given him, and he will draw a picture about what he learned, write the date in there, and then I have him write just a couple of words, whether that's labeling who is in the picture, writing the book of the Bible that it came from. He could write a sentence if he wanted to. Most of the time, he just labels his characters and then writes the date, which is fine by me. He's showing me that he read and telling me about what he read in his Bible that day. He's loving it. Since he has finished reading that, he is just reading out of his Bible, and he is picking a book of the Bible and reading a chapter a day and doing the same thing with his Bible journal. Next year, we will probably do something more along the lines of the SOAK method. But this year, I'm just going to let him continue to love reading the Bible and journaling just a little bit about it. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about my first grader and what has been working for him. Alphaphonics is definitely working for him. That is the curriculum that my second grader just finished. My first grader really struggled last year to learn the sounds and names of the letters of the alphabet. And so I would not call him on track for first grade reading, but he is finally solidly reading the words that we're on. Instead of struggling with his letter sounds, he is really good learning to blend those sounds, learning all the special sounds, and it has built his confidence so much. I know that struggling was really hard for him to learn the letter sounds. It did not make him feel up to par. And so now that he is flying through his phonics curriculum, he's loving it, and I know that he is going to be a reader soon as well. So definitely a win. That makes me happy, and I know it makes him happy. For math, we are using Number Stories 2. This is a free vintage math book that we have been using, and I love it. He loves it. It is just going over his basic math facts, and we are almost done with it. He is doing so good and putting in the hard work. He loves math. He loves to figure things out, and so he is doing really well with that. And okay, this is a win, even though he would say he doesn't like it. We have been doing a daily sheet. So every day, I will link it down below. It's just a printable from Teachers Pay Teachers. Every day he writes out the date. He writes out what day, or he checks off what day of the week it is. He tells me what the weather is, what it looks like outside. He can draw his clothes or how he's feeling on a little picture of a person. And then on the back, he has to fill in a calendar. And so every day he'll just add the next date onto his calendar. And then we have a number of the day. And the number of the day typically is whatever day it is of the month. So if it's the 15th, then the number is 15. He'll write the number 15. He'll write it in word form. He'll do one more, one less, 10 more, 10 less. It really has him do the place value and tally marks. It really just helps with number sense. This was another area that he really struggled in last year and even the beginning of this year. It's finally clicked and he is doing really well. Now, he doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't want to do this, but it has helped him immensely. Definitely a big win in our homeschool. Next, moving to things to consider or things that aren't going so well in our homeschool. We're going to start with second grade. We used Number Stories 1 and then Number Stories 2 with my second grader, and then I found another free vintage math book, and it was called First Year in Numbers. I chose this. I thought it was a really good way to review the basic math facts that he'd learned, and then in true like vintage math style, it taught addition, subtraction, and then multiplication all kind of at the same time. And the way that this curriculum works is it starts off with number 1, and you just count the here's one thing, and then you'll do 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, 1 plus 4, and it asks you a few word questions with 1 either being the answer or something that you add to it. And then it will go on to the number 2 on the next sheet, and it'll do the same thing. And then it'll say what's 2 times 1, and you just explain the different groupings, and it's very gentle, it's very logical. I really loved it, but I second guessed myself, and I didn't feel like he was moving fast enough. I felt like it was too easy for him, and so I decided to change curriculum. I didn't want to go out and spend a lot of money, so I downloaded the free Good and Beautiful second grade math, and I printed out the first unit. We did try this. I gave it a good effort. I believe we got about 16 lessons in, and it was just fight after power struggle after tears. It was not good. And the more that I thought about it, I realized that this particular child, he needs a lot less fluff. He loves a good story, but he needs a lot less fluff when it comes to math. And when you added the lesson and the independent work together, it was too long. And it also goes through different ways to solve specific problems. So there's multiple ways to come to the answer, and he was not interested. He would listen, and then he would tune me out, and he would do it his own way, which was correct, and he got the right answer, and it was good. But it was just a constant power struggle. So I went back to First Year in Numbers, and as I looked through it and I looked towards the end of the curriculum, where it was going to end, where it was going to take him, I realized that I really just needed to stick with it. We have started with the vintage math books. That is the way that my children know how to learn math right now, and that's the way that we are all loving it. So he will finish this book before the end of the year, and he's doing really great. And honestly, it goes all the way up to the number 20. You're adding and subtracting, and you're learning how to multiply at the same time. You're starting to learn the concept of division by the end of it. It covers time, it covers money, it covers measurements, it covers so many things. And I don't know why I second guessed it. I just thought, I guess, that all the review in the beginning took too long. So after second guessing myself and changing things, we're right back to where we started, and I am considering what that means for next year. A good friend of mine who also homeschools suggested that I look at Simply Charlotte Mason, their elementary arithmetic curriculum, and I'm definitely eyeballing that for next year. If you know anything about it, I would love to hear if you have used it, and especially if you've used the second book. I found reviews for the first one and not the second, so I'm really curious if you know anything about it. Another thing that I have been weighing or considering since my second grader finished phonics is, where do we go next? I have, primary language lessons by Emma Searle. I have Gentle Grammar by momdelights.com, and I have the McGuffey Readers. And so it was just considering where we go from here. And I could not decide if I wanted to use primary language lessons or gentle grammar. Do I use it both together? I have seen Jess from the Homeschool Convert. She talks about using those primary language lessons and gentle grammar. She uses both of them for her daughter, and I'm not sure that that's what I'm going to do. I do have the McGuffey readers, and Sherry Hayes from MomDelights.com goes through how to use the McGuffies and get all that it's worth from the McGuffey readers, and I just am not sure exactly how we're going to do it. I do know that I don't want to pile too much language arts and curriculum onto my second grader after he has finally just has that huge achievement of learning to read and reading his whole phonics curriculum. He's so proud of himself. I don't want to then turn around and bog him down with too many language arts curriculums. So for the moment, while I weigh all of those options, we are just going to do 2 lessons of gentle grammar a week, and I'm just going to let him read. And then I will decide here in a couple of weeks exactly the plan. While he just enjoys reading for a while, we're going to continue to practice. Another thing that is something to consider, or maybe that you wouldn't call a win, is while we love Under the Home, there were a few parts of the curriculum that I thought we were going to do and we have totally dropped, and that would be geography and studio art. I really loved the geography. If you read through it, it's very simple, and things that I'm not great at always just bringing up in geography. So it just starts off with things like, this is your house. What is your house made of? This is your street. Stand out in the front of your house and draw a picture from the front. Draw a picture from the back. Well, let's go on a walk and then draw a little map of your street and your neighborhood. And then it just keeps going out, and it'll have you do like little field trips. And it's amazing, and it's simple, and I could not fit it into our schedule. I don't know what it was. It probably took 5 or 10 minutes to go over each lesson and do the notebooking work, but I could not make it fit without extending our homeschool day and leading everybody to frustration. So I chose to drop it. If we drop that, we can do everything else pretty well. And so I did not want to push my luck with geography. Maybe we'll pick it up again next year. Okay, so same thing for studio art. It's very simple. I am not an artsy person. I would love to be, but I'm not. It is very simple. They're about 5-minute lessons. It goes over basic things like, this is a line, make a piece of art with a line. This is a grid. This is how you draw a grid. Here's an example. Draw something with a grid in it. It's just very simple. And my kids really love it, and so did I, but something about it, we just could not fit it in. So I have dropped it. It does not make it onto my regular schedule, but if we have a day where we're having a lighter homeschool day, maybe we go to the library instead of doing all of our schoolwork, then we can throw in a studio art lesson, things like that. If we take off and we just want to do a lesson, we can do it that way. And we've done it a few times that way, and it is much more enjoyable instead of making it a stressful, we must do this curriculum type thing. Lastly is nature study. I want to be a nature study person so bad. And I know that means just do it. You're not going to become that person if you don't try, but it is not my forte. I'm not even good at making myself go outside. As much as I know it's good for me and I enjoy it when I do it, it's something that I have to constantly just consciously make the effort to do it. And so nature study is just not something that I've been good at. I bought a lot of resources last year to do nature study, to learn nature study with my children, and it has just not been fit in. It's just been dropped. So maybe next year that could be our focus. I will say that we have done well at doing music, like composer study and artist study this year, and so that has been a big win, and we all really enjoy it. So maybe next year I can focus on doing nature study and instead of trying to do all the things. It is hard when you are trying to do Charlotte Mason type things. You want to do it all, you want to spread the full feast, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can't jump all the way in and do them all. You have to focus on one little thing at a time. So I'm thinking this year it was artist study and composer study, and hopefully next year the focus can be adding in nature study. We shall see. So that's it for my homeschool update. Those are some of our wins, some of the things that we have dropped or not done so great at. I would love to know, how's your homeschool going this year? What are some of your wins? What are some things that you are considering for either changing this year or next year? And again, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Also, don't hesitate to leave any questions down in the comments or send me an email or anywhere else on my social media.